Welcome back to Talk of the Town. My next guest that says that you won't truly understand what real Texas barbecue is until you take that first bite. Coming here to Wisconsin and cooking up his Texas trade secrets is Pokey from Pokey Smoke on the Water. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So I would like to know where you learned to cook that Southern style right here in Wisconsin.
Well, that all comes and originates from my grandfather from Sugar Land, Texas. In 1932, grandfather found a recipe that he came up and originated in his kitchens, which today we cook every single thing the exact same way he did.
Wow, so this is the real deal.
This is actually the real deal. Before Bobby Flay and the Food Network and Barbecue Pitmasters, there was my grandfather, absolutely.
So the roots are from Texas. And
yes, ma'am.
That does make it pretty authentic.
It is that, absolutely.
What brought you to Wisconsin then?
Well, in the World War II, my father and mother were in the Navy and things of that nature, and after the conflict and everything ended, my father found a job in Cudahy, Wisconsin for like $12 an hour. That was big money back then. Sure. So he moved the whole family in like 1949 up to Wisconsin, and we've been here ever since. I'm one of the kids that were born here in Wisconsin.
Okay. So roots are in Texas, but you are actually a Wisconsin native.
Yes, I am, and proud of it, too.
And proud of it. That's nice to hear. Can you tell me a little bit more about your family in Texas?
Oh, most certainly. Well, the way that grandfather originated this recipe was that he had his own ranch, and he had taken some steer to be processed at the plant. And he had told some people at that time that were there to brisket, and if I'm a steer looking at you, and this is your head and you're between the two shoulder blades, this is your brisket. Well, back in the 30s, it was a throwaway meat. So grandfather told the gentlemen that were outside to please throw that in the back of his truck because they were throwing it away anyhow, and he had some business to take care of. When he came back, he never told those gentlemen to stop throwing it in his truck. So in 1932, you could imagine a Ford pickup truck that was like this because they had thrown 900 pounds of brisket into his truck. So he had some family and friends and some other ranchers coming over for a little shindig, and he had begun to make this brisket. Time got away from him, he forgot, and he had started to imbibe in some wild turkey during that day and fell asleep. On Sunday, he woke up the next morning to think that everything that he had done was for naught. Right. And he thought it was burnt, and it wasn't. It was absolutely beautiful. The one thing about it is that everybody was gone and he had no food. He had all this food to give away, so he gave it to the neighbors and friends and other ranchers. Following suit, everybody loved it so much they asked him to do it again, but he couldn't reproduce it because he did it while he was imbibing and having those wonderful things. So he had tried and tried and tried, and he couldn't reproduce this. So my grandmother back then gave him the same wild turkey to drink and reproduce it if he could, but she followed him with a pad of paper and a pencil, and these are the exact same recipes that he came up with because they were absolutely phenomenal the second go-round.
And so it began.
And then so it began, and he started selling this all around Sugar Land at that time because he had worked for C&H Sugar in Sugar Land, Texas, and he was quite the person at that time.
Sure. That's interesting. There are so many neat things like that that come out of what we think is a mistake or a failure, and it ends up being something grand. What a great surprise that ended up being. And look at it still living on today.
And it lives on today, and we make his same barbecue sauce by hand every single day at the restaurant.
Let's talk about the restaurant, Pokey Smoke on the Water. How long have you been in business now?
On the 26th of this month, it'll be 6 months, so we're brand new. We're just babes.
Yeah, okay. But you were catering prior to that, so it's not like this whole thing is new for you.
That's correct. My wife and I have been catering. We've been married 21 years, and for 20 years of that, we have been catering little gigs around town and all over the place. Absolutely. I've also worked for the state of Wisconsin for 22 plus years and doing catering on the side.
All right. Well, we're about out of time, if you can believe that. I took a quick look at your website. I got to say the pizzas looked good, but I bet you want folks to know that you do some really awesome ribs.
That is true. We also do everything in our restaurant is handmade by us, all fresh herbs, fresh vegetables, nothing out of cans or bags or nothing like that, and that is so important to us as the quality of our foods.
I think I read that the only things that aren't from scratch are your potatoes and your pigs. Is that right?
Probably something like that,
Yeah.
but we make our potatoes fresh every day as well.
Well, we've got to run. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Pokey Smoke on the Water in Lodi. we'll be, actually, this is it, end of our show today. Thanks to all of our guests for stopping by today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Talk of the Town.